We're now going to move on to some questions around migration, and I wanted to bring in Paul Kohler.
Thank you. Your government, like the previous government, is talking about the need to reduce immigration. You're also talking, of course, about the need to grow the economy. Immigration is important to growing the economy. How do you square the circle of lowering immigration but growing the economy? And how will you balance the trade-offs between the different sectors that need immigration to function and to increase product?
So the answer is, look, immigration's always been important as part of people coming to the UK over generations to work in public services and to found businesses and so on. But it also does need to be properly controlled and managed so that the system is fair, so that it is effective. And what we've seen over recent years, in just the space of 4 years, we've seen net migration quadruple. And we've seen particularly that be driven by, I think, the trebling of work visas, a huge increase in overseas recruitment, and also to see that often in areas at the same time that training in the UK was being reduced. So you see, for example, something like engineering, where there's been persistently high levels of recruitment from abroad, but actually we'd also seen a reduction in engineering apprenticeships in the UK. Now, to my mind, that is a system that is broken. That is just not working. So that is why what we want to do is, we do believe net migration needs to come down. We do think that those record high numbers were not the right thing for the UK. We have to bring those net migration numbers down, but we have to do so in a way that recognises it was that overseas recruitment that had driven a lot of the increases, and therefore what we need is a new system that means we are better linking the immigration system with requirements for training, for skills, for looking at the UK labour market. And the Migration Advisory Committee, I think, has just published their report today, which I've not managed to see the whole of their report yet, but I've seen some of the elements of it. But that is very much looking at the issues, how you link what the Migration Advisory Committee does, but with Skills England and the Scottish, Welsh and other local skills organisations, and also the work that the DWP needs to do around bringing more people back into the labour market, and also the work around the Industrial Strategy Council around what private sector workforce strategies should be, so that we do much more to recruit from the UK alongside having stronger visa controls in place.
Addressing the training deficit will take a long while to feed through into the system. You're talking about reducing immigration very swiftly. How do you square that?
So I think you also have to have the stronger visa controls in place. So the policies that were introduced by the previous government after the Brexit implementation ended up with having things like a 20% discount for wages for overseas recruitment. I just think that was completely the wrong approach. It actually encouraged undercutting. It was a sort of an incentive for overseas recruitment rather than an incentive to recruit or train in the UK. There were also, I think, the salary threshold wasn't increased for a very long time. So you've got to have the proper visa controls in place, but alongside the visa controls, what we want is to also see much stronger links to look at where you need skills training or other workforce policies in the UK as well. I give you another one of the things that we've done is to ask the Migration Advisory Committee to look particularly at IT and engineering, because those are sectors where we know there's been high levels of recruitment from abroad, and actually look in much more detail at why have there been such high levels of recruitment from overseas, and what more could be done swiftly to actually address some of those issues in the UK.
And talking about particular sectors, there will be different pressures in each of those. Are you talking to the universities? Are you talking to the health and social care sector and those departments to address the specifics?
So our plan is to publish a white paper in the new year that will set out how we bring net migration down, and will set out much more detail about how we want the new system to work, about how you link just have a much more coherent approach to the labour market, how you link the work of the Migration Advisory Committee with those other organisations as well. So that does need to then link into other organisations through from universities, training bodies and so on, and also recognise particular sectors. So on the social care sector, for example, we need a proper workforce strategy for social care. We've talked about having fair pay agreements, for example, in place for social care as well. So you have a proper medium-term strategy for sectors instead of what to me all just felt like what we ended up with was almost a sort of free market approach to the labour market and to migration, which is effectively a free-for-all for employers to be able to just recruit from wherever they wanted to. And especially when you'd got some of those discounts, especially when it was too easy for the exploitation to take place, then too often what you got was employers recruiting from overseas, when actually what we should have had was much more of a workforce strategy here in the UK.
I look forward to the white paper. Do we know when?
I will not set out the precise week or month. You know that would be unwise for any government minister to do,
imminent.
But it would be. We will be publishing that in the new year.
Okay, thank you.